My name's Will Brightling. I'm Managing Director of SaaStock, and I'm joined by Kevin Beales, who's the founder and CEO of MySalesCoach, also a partner at SaaStock. Kevin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, so I'm the CEO and founder of MySalesCoach, and we provide expert sales coaches to SaaS and tech teams as a subscription service.
Yep, amazing. Can I ask, why did you start MySalesCoach? Where did it come from? Where did the idea come from?
So I've been working in sales tech for the last 10 years, and then as a SaaS leader, but SaaS sales leader before that, and really recognized the challenge and problem that exists in sales coaching, that everyone knows it's important, but no one has as much time as they would like to dedicate to sales coaching and have the impact on their teams. So I felt compelled to put together essentially experts that we can match to sales teams to address this challenge and problem.
Yeah, amazing. We're a customer as well, and I know that Scott from our team has had really great value from it. So
I appreciate you for saying.
Yeah, and so you've just recently done a report with Aircall. It's one of the biggest bits of research ever conducted into coaching. What's been some of the key takeaways? What's the data showing us? Where's coaching going?
So I think, so as you say, 1,600 people, so you'll believe it's the biggest sales coaching survey that's ever been done, both reps and leaders, and getting those perspectives. I think it told us some things that we kind of knew and expected it to tell us. Everyone agrees that sales coaching is really important. 99% of reps say that it's key for their role and key for their satisfaction in their role. And equally, leaders recognise it as being really important. But there's definitely a challenge, and in the fact that 37% of sales reps don't get as much coaching as they need. They are rarely coached on, or 1 in 7 just not coached at all. And yet, despite that, 90% of sales leaders say that they coach each month.
Yep.
So this wasn't really a surprise to us. We see this dichotomy all the time, that sales leaders feel like they're coaching, but sales reps not necessarily feeling like they are getting coached. And there's two kind of key reasons that come out of it. One is that leaders just don't get the time. They're tasked with so many different roles and responsibilities, all of which are more time critical, at least, than sales coaching.
Yeah.
And again, as this report showed us, more than half of sales leaders didn't feel like they were great at sales coaching and wanted more help and support in becoming great coaches.
As a person who's come from the sales background myself, I have so many questions, and I think we've all been part of really cringy coaching sessions. I probably led a few myself, where what is coaching now? What is it? What is the essence of coaching and extracting the value of coaching? Could you give us a bit of insight into that?
Yeah, so I think when we're talking about sales coaching aspect, and it is used as such a generic term to describe so many different things, and there's coaching, there's training, and there's mentoring, but we're really talking about how we helping someone grow, how we helping them develop skills, to develop themselves personally, become a better seller. And I think this is where we then see that dichotomy between leaders and reps, because when leaders sit down with their teams, sit down one-to-one, and they go through and they do a pipeline review, or they ask about this deal and where it's up to, a sales leader can often feel like they're coaching, and a sales rep never feels in those conversations like they're being coached. They don't feel like they come out of those conversations and I've developed my skills and I've grown. They feel like I've been given a grilling about my sales pipeline or where this deal's up to.
Sure.
And that's, I think, where you get this real dichotomy between sales leaders that feel that they commit time to coaching, or as much time as they can, but reps that then just feel like I don't get the coaching that I need or deserve to achieve my potential.
And let's say within a very fast, high growth SaaS company, for instance, whose responsibility is it to coach? Is it the VP of sales? Is it the sales manager? What level is it? Is it their responsibility to actually give back to the reps? Whose role is that now?
So I think the responsibility lies with the manager. But again, this is where there's so many tasks that lie with the manager. Managers are tasked with recruiting and onboarding and forecasting and managing and being in team meetings and all of these responsibilities. And as I say, The least time critical of all of those is sales coaching. It can always wait till tomorrow. There's nothing compelling about sales coaching that has to happen today in the same way that my board report does, or my forecasting report does, or that I've got an interview this afternoon. Those are all more time compelling. So the responsibility undoubtedly lies with managers. So organizations, say 3/4 of organizations have coaching as the number one task or responsibility, priority of their sales managers and leaders. But actually, as previous reports have shown, sales managers typically, by their own admittance, spend 5% of their time coaching. So you know, they just don't get the time to coach, and they probably have never been coached well themselves, so even know what good coaching looks like.
And obviously, like, we see that like a lot of companies do live coaching, whether it's on cold calls, listening into cold calls, all that kind of stuff. What's the difference between like booking time in to coach versus coaching in action, if you know what I mean?
So anything that is genuinely helping someone grow and develop skills, you know, I think you can be comfortable with as a good investment of time in coaching.
Yeah.
But often those like live coaching, you know, when you've got someone sitting alongside you on a call, maybe even someone jumping in and taking over a call or conversation, or even someone reflecting on a call and telling you where you went wrong, which, you know, it has limited value if it's not about helping you understand why, helping you understand how to do it better, helping you grow those skills and being able to improve.
And do you think anyone, like, I mean, coaching, it doesn't always come naturally to people, I think, and this is even for anyone in an organization, right? If you're a business leader, you should be able to have some degree of coaching, right? Like, and that's not just for salespeople. CEOs should be good coaches for their team, CFOs, whatever it is. But do you think this is like something that can be learned, coaching, or is it innate? Like, what do you see from that perspective?
So two perspectives here. So I think, first of all, can it be learned? Absolutely. And again, like, one of the things that came out of the report was that half of managers want support to be better coaching.
Yeah.
So half recognise that, you know, there's a skills gap there.
Yeah.
And it comes back to that maybe having never experienced great coaching themselves, how do you know what great coaching looks like to be a great coach? But I do think that there is a bigger problem or a bigger challenge that exists. What makes it really hard for a sales manager to be a great coach is you can't leave your agenda at the door. Right? When you have someone on your team who's really struggling, when you're worried about whether that person's going to hit their quarterly target, when you're worried about your quarterly target and whether you're going to get your bonus, it's hard to leave that agenda at the door in any one-to-one conversation, even for the best managers and leaders. And so therefore, one of the benefits of true coaching is that it's all about the individual. It's all about understanding your goals, understanding how I can help you grow, how I can help you improve, and being dedicated and making that conversation dedicated to helping them do that. That's where it's really hard sometimes as a manager.
Yeah, I completely agree. So the report that you've just done, what was the data showing us, like, on companies that do good coaching versus those that think they're doing good coaching but aren't really doing good coaching, and those that actually don't do any coaching at all?
So first of all, it impacts on performance and results. So 27% of the reps that completed the survey hit quota, but those that said that they were either frequently coached or their coaching was of a high quality, or ideally both, were far more likely to hit quota than others. So there's a direct correlation between quota and attainment. Another really interesting thing that came out, and maybe a little bit of myth that was bust as part of this as well, was those that hit quota or overachieved on quota wanted more coaching. So there's often a perception that actually coaching is to help people that are struggling or help people that are on the journey. But actually, again, a thing that came out loud and clear is one of the audiences or cohorts that wants coaching the most are people that are already achieving, because they're achieving for a reason. They learn, they want to grow, they want to develop, they are ambitious. All of those things that lean into a craving for coaching rather than not having that need. Yeah,
I think that's really interesting. It's like, because if you're winning, you almost right, you get the appetite for winning, right, and you want to win more, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And like, you can almost turn a B player into an A player through maybe a good coaching process, right? Anything else from the report that you'd like to touch on, highlight? Anything else that came about that was interesting?
So I think, one of the main highlights was that there is this real discrepancy between reps and leaders. A couple of other interesting things that came out. BDRs get coached a lot more than AEs. So I think, again, maybe kind of leaning into people early in their career. There's more consciousness of that they're on a journey, they've got a lot to learn, they're early on in their careers.
Yep.
But then we get people to being quota carriers and being AEs, and then don't give them as much support, and then are perhaps surprised when, in this instance, 73% of the audience didn't hit quota. So I think that was quite telling. There was actually some really interesting data that people in smaller teams get even less coaching. So organizations where there was less than 5 sales managers, perhaps it's not as structured, perhaps there's not so much of a process there, it's more ad hoc, people are just busier, but again, those people went without. And then another interesting but maybe slightly disappointing thing, only 5% of teams or individuals trusted their enablement teams to coach. So again, enablement, where often it's that coaching responsibility might fall under them. That whilst they might be the guardians of sales coaching, definitely needs to make that happen across either managers or people externally. It would be amiss of me as well to not say, one of the data points that came out is that people were craving external coaching. So it was actually just over 2/3 of people wish they had an external coach. Only 8% of the audience actually did have an external coach. And again, there was a correlation with revenue and success by those that had that external coaching. Which again comes from, it's just hard for managers, even for great managers to be great coaches and to commit as much time as is really needed.
Yeah, I completely agree. And even myself, like, having a coach has just been transformational, right? And just having someone else that can ask those hard questions that maybe someone internally is not prepared to ask, right? It really helps. In terms of so let's say tech stack, right? What are the best tools for companies to adopt, do you think, that will allow for better coaching processes internally?
So I think obviously conversation intelligence, sales conversation intelligence allows you to capture those moments. But having, and previously having founded one of those tools myself, one of the things that, that was the problem we set out to solve with sales coaching. We set out 10 years ago to solve that exact same problem. And where we struggle to solve that problem with revenue intelligence is it's still only as good as the amount of time that is put into actually coaching. So, obviously some amazing things come out of AI. It helps provide some amazing data on what top performers might do differently and what leads to successful outcomes. But having that data doesn't help improve other people's skills and behaviors. That's coaching. So it kind of gives the trigger for where can we devote the time to coaching that will have impact, but it doesn't make it happen.
Okay, yeah, amazing. We time for one more question, I guess. What's the number one bit of advice you give to VPs of sales, sales managers, CEOs at the moment in regards to coaching or getting this, getting better systems and process around it and a better culture overall, I guess because culture is such a important aspect of having a good coaching framework or whatever, right? So
for sure. So I think, first of all, is to have a coaching plan, right? So, people have their personal development plans. They're often very career orientated, but having a coaching plan, identifying what are the skills that you would like to improve, and having a coaching plan that between an individual, a manager, an external coach, that there is a framework of what are we going to do to grow and improve, and to be able to measure that on. Second is the frequency of those conversations, is that there has to be a cadence of a frequency if you want coaching to have the impact and as you mentioned, be that have that coaching culture. And the third is to best you can leave your agenda at the door. Make that conversation about how can I help this person grow, how can I help them develop their skills, because it's so easy to slip into, well, how are we doing against this quarter's numbers?
Yeah,
how's that deal? It's so easy to slip into that. One like really easy win that I'd throw out there as well is peer coaching. So often when you're getting people doing the same role, people perhaps aspiring to that promotion, how can you actually engineer and ensure that there's time for peer coaching? So making sure that there is a peer coaching structure or a plan there, that people know that they can ask these people for coaching, that those people can give that time for coaching that might be part of their career development, but that it really helps create that coaching culture as well, because it really normalizes that your coaching has impact and that's part of, as an employee of this organization, you're going to be exposed and have that opportunity to go.
Amazing. Great stuff. Really enjoyed that, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
cheers.